So, Ohio. Wir haben einen epischen Kampf Aoko Aosaki gegen Aoko Aosaki als Puppe aufgehört. Und machen da gleich mal weiter. In Witch on the Holy Night. Ich muss sagen, ich finde das On the Holy Night klingt irgendwie komisch. Off the Holy Night geht auf jeden Fall klingen.
3分どころか10秒持たないってどういうことよ。
Yeah. Rather than buying her time, Soichiro had in fact stolen hers. She dreamed of cursing him for failing to fulfill his one job.
複数の足音ってことは二足から多脚に切り替えたのね。
The echoes made it sound like the footsteps of those of feet. To Aoko, it's sounding like a giant, a six-legged spider tearing its way down the corridor. It was little wonder that it was so much faster than before. Its perception of its surroundings through the echolation was particularly used in the dark. Compared to sight-dependent humans, this automaton was far better equipped to navigate its way through the labyrinth of mirrors. It could not keep pace earlier. It was because the bipedal mode of movement was not up to the task, but the stability provided by the multiple legs gave it speed that far exceeded that of any human. Oh god.
どうするどうするどうする。
Her thoughts spun out as she tried to come up with a plan B. All she knew for sure was that this was a pivotal moment. If she counted standing still, she had seconds left at most. Even in her current state, she knew she could easily neutralize the bounded field blocking the entrance without casting a spell. All she had to do was pour a little of her own energy into it. Oko could sprint with all her might for a little more than 3 minutes. The puppet had far more stamina than she did. She would only come up with 3 options. The first was to escape through the exit in front of her. The second was to hide herself somewhere within the far more complicated first floor. And the third was to run into the basement and stuck like a rat in a trap. Ich würde sagen, die dritte ist die beste Option, oder?
なんだ考えるまでもない。
She made the decision with zero hesitation. Moving her stiff legs again was definitely with strength. The oncoming storm was almost upon her. Her resolve firm as she turned and ran, descending into the darkness. No matter what, a final should be glorious. This would be Mirror Castle's final scene. 2 humans and a puppet. A young sorceress ran toward the subterranean heart of the castle, while Automa's antique chased its prey to the depths of the demonic dungeon. Poetisch. A minute later, a faint blue charge would ripple through this castle. This was the main pillar in the deepest depths of the basement. The pillar itself was not there to support the castle structure, but it would serve nicely as the symbol into which the girl thrust her fist with all her magical energy. This was the blow that would bring down the castle. She imagined the scene as she threw the punch, a scene that would soon become reality. It was simple ignition manushaft, meant to release the condensed magical energy engraved into the 4 pillars that formed the foundation of the structure. Using electricity as a switch meant visually instantaneous activation. Swift and elegant. A hammer of destruction descended upon the castle of dreams that has stubbornly resisted its fate for 2 years. It's almost a joyous sound. and so lifeless, Abdon cast Muros set stage for its final and most spectacular performance. Aoko's special energy became an electrical charge that activated the Magecraft's formula and engraved to the pillar. The chain reaction would lead to the castle's destruction.
ご苦労様。でも思ってたよりくたびれてたのね。これじゃ。
The plaza in the center of the basement. Aoko tried to steady her breathing by rotating a magic crest at full speed. She wrapped her arms in blue light, fully aware that she could no longer activate another formula. Her labored breathing refused to settle. She stood at the center of the basement. Without being spotted even once, she had managed to make it all the way to the center pillar. It was a 100-meter dash in 30 seconds, flat, undoubtedly a new personal best. She spurred her on her weakened heart, knowing full well the fate that awaited her.
入れば追ってくる。地下に行けば逃げられない。当然よね。最後まで逃げ回ろうなんて虫のいい話だった。
Hindsight was 2020. The castle was only a minute away from collapsing completely. If they stayed there, they would both be crushed by the rubble. This puppet certainly did not care. With no life of its own, its sole concern was the elimination of its target, Aoko Aosaki. Indeed, the enemy had been willing to die from the start. She resented her own lack of resolve. It wasn't like her to tuck tail and run from an opponent that didn't fear death.
Vivo insomni, solitare putoresco inferis. Victius meus obitus dies, et meus nativus dies, te obeam.
In slumber I live in dirt. I rot. 2 days a day. I died and was born. Now I come to you.
そもそも自爆覚悟じゃないあれ。6足歩行とフィンの一撃は使いすぎよ。もう呪詛による魔力補給じゃ間に合わない。
Such a perpetual motion device is only as good as its ability to regulate its energy consumption. Using so many functions at once meant it was burning through the fuel quickly and losing the ability to process the curses that powered it. It was using up all the functions that had been given to achieve its aim. This was the pride of our tool. If such things could have ego, these endowed with sentience could never hope to understand. A beast born to do nothing but run would burn any human who faced its resolve.
ほんともったいない。こういう無茶をするのは姉貴だけかと思ってたけど、いるところにはいるもんね。
But Aoko did not intend to sacrifice play here. She respected the adversary now, and she was done regretting her choices. There was no time to waste.
行くわよ。ここできっかり。
Aoko had every intention of paying it back, double for what it had done to her. The energy Aoko had accumulated exploded out of her right leg. She aimed a single thing, a head-on attack. The enemy response was a curse to crush her heart. A curse that would rend Aoko's heart and destroy itself in the process. As soon as she saw it, Aoko kicked the floor as hard as she could. Her long hair swirled through the air as she flipped aside. The later move almost sent her trembling to the ground, but a quick swing of her arm allowed her to regain her balance. A shot grazed her arm. With the curse scorching the left shoulder, she did not flinch. Aoko knew she could hold on as long as she continued to avoid a direct fin shot.
スナップ。
Off balance and in pain, it took her half of a second to recover. The moment she raised her head, she deflected the attack with her fist full of magical energy.
No!
If the puppet had a will of its own, its eyes would have popped right out of its sockets. It would have been floored. Shocked at the strong that will allow this girl to perform a series of moves like this. Aoka's response was instantaneous. While her power was not sufficient to completely redirect the arm's trajectory, it was just enough to deflect it harmlessly past her hair. It was all a mistake. I should never have been born. Atone for me. Atone for me. Atone for me. The charm became a curse. It robbed Aoka of her vitality. Did it still have something left in the tank, or was it actually inefficient? Whatever the reason, Aoka was easily able to resist and weaken the defense maneuver. And her tired leg, pulsing with magical energy, shot up the puppet's chest from below. The soundtrack is geil. It was much lighter than Aoka anticipated. However, she felt little resistance, and an amount of weight was determined by its internals, the size of its power source. Ironically, it was the superiority of its 2 sick box engine that would prove to be its downfall.
Venite, venite, venite. Meum sepulchrum, venite.
Welcome, 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 my grave. A stuttering curse. Having taken the full brunt of Aoka's kick, the puppet bounced from its ceiling to the floor, collapsing in a heap. Its eternal construction had been warped by the impact, leaving the drum of the music box that powered the puppet warped as well.
恨むなら設計者を恨みなさい。ダイナモの一つでも積んでいれば、もうちょっとは重たくなったでしょうに。
Part of the city came crashing down in front of Aoka, snapping her back to her senses.
ところで今、どうやってぶっ倒したんだろう。
She was so stunned by her own victory that she forgot the House of Mirrors had already begun to collapse.
こっちのがやばかった。
There was no time to relish in her victory or pity her opponent. Not unless she wanted to meet the same fate. As the day she stood, she found it hard to be imagined getting out alive.
急げ、ダッシュだ私。
She slapped herself on the cheek and took off. She was a bounty for finishing the battle in a matter of seconds. With her breathing and labored by all excitement, she ran off for the exit. The collapse was intensified by a second. Having lost its support pillars, the castle was buckling under its own weight.
この邪魔。
Escaping from the basement was proving to be no easy task. While she was taking the shortest road possible through the maze, she was nearly crushed by a falling piece of the ceiling along the way. It was the second time, no third, she had to deal with fallen rubble along the way. She destroyed the debris on the stairs with magic bullets as she ran. The automatic jamming had long since worn off. The early attack had damaged the vast majority of its functions. Her breath was heavy as she ran. The intense sound of her speak sparked her brain into overdrive. The ceiling seemed to be collapsing in slow motion. For a second, felt like 5. Her frayed nerves made it hard to read time correctly, as her life seemed to flash before her very eyes, a light at the end of the tunnel. There was Zebra's rippled through the stairway, forced her to crawl up it. She emerged from the destroyed basement into the collapsing first floor. That the plaza was still traversable at all was a miracle in itself. Unfortunately for her, the crucial path to the exit was still intact.
よし、ついてる。
The corridor to the entrance was still intact. The basement maze only extended as far as the plaza, so the entrance corridor would collapse. Only the ceiling would cave in, leaving the scaffolding surrounded intact. She got herself this far by telling herself repeatedly that fate would decide whether or not she reached the plaza. Her gamble paid off. It was her lucky day. All she had to do was muster the last of her strength and keep moving forward until... She hesitated for a fraction of a second. Was it natively a sense of responsibility? She pushed aside the image that popped in her head and continued running down the corridor.
言っとくけど、時間合わせの余裕はないわよ。そんな上等な作戦じゃないし、お互いできることをやったら最速。
That was 5 minutes ago. At the time, so she had not about the reputation, and Oko had not bothered to ask herself why.
何様だったの私。今は走ることだけ考えろ。
The corridor was giving out too. If she were to look back, she was sure she would see the building collapsing in on her. She was also sure she had no time to waste doing so. Her luck was fading as fast as the building structural integrity. It was a small miracle that she had escaped serious injury up to this point, and she could not afford even the slightest slip. An ankle sprain, loss of balance, even a sneeze would be fatal. A simple pat on the back was enough to end it. So naturally... Oh! There was it, clear as a day. From the detours of the stairway, death had arisen to take her down with it. A corpse that had crawled its way up from the depths of hell itself. It was still operational. And it was still armed with curses. It had crawled after her, watching as Oko desperately tried to save herself. The puppet's arm shot forward. While Oko did not turn to meet it, she could see its reflection in the mirrors.
E salvato, e salvato, e salvato, e salvato.
Extend, extend, extend. This time she could not dodge it. There was absolutely nothing she could do. The puppet with her face sang.
Venite domum meum.
Venite domum meum. I invite you
Lut sine sum meum.
to die a muddy death.
Et pulvere simile quotidiano.
Become as whispering dust.
Corprego.
Gouge out your heart.
Te iudico.
Death be upon you. For a moment she could not believe her eyes. This was the last thing she expected to see.
しつこいぞお前
A fierce expression adorned the face of the boy who had been waiting in the plaza as he smashed the puppet's outstretched arm. Anger really did not suit him at all. His weapon of choice was a fire extinguisher. He must have searched the maze for something to use as a weapon. No, never mind that. It was too crazy to contemplate, but had he stayed behind for her? Alcor stopped defeat she had sworn to herself she would never stop moving and extend a hand out to him.
そんなのほっといていいから早く
Soshiro tossed the Fallschirm aside and took off running. Pieces of the ceiling continued to collapse like dominoes. They kept moving with dust and dirt following in their wake. Their shadows raced through the collapsing corridor with all their strength. The castle was in throes of death. The massive crash in a cloud of dust, the final chapter of the fairy tale that had been Kisti Land, came to an abrupt end. The duel of the death was over. For a moment, amidst the swirling emotions, all past enmity was left behind, and the two collapsed to the lawn and basked in fresh solidarity. The ringing in their ears subsided before long. A tremor of magnitude seemed impossible in an amusement park like this. And the sounds of destruction echoed across the park, awkward as individual at their side.
ねえ生きてるチェ
While the click of her tongue was adorable, the meaning behind it was anything but.
青崎あいつどうなった？
見ての通りよ今頃バラバラ死体になってるんじゃない
Soshiro sighed, not truly relieved by a frank response. His reason?
でもそんな心配より自分の心配をした方がいいと思うわよ
He wasn't out of the woods yet, after all.
青崎子供の頃はいじめっ子だっただろ。
可逆趣味はないって自負してるけどそれで今の自分の立場分かってる
She sat up and smiled. Sojiro hung his head in shame, wondering why a kind tone and expression were so chilling.
面目次第もございません。
かしこまってもダメよあの提案には大前提があったわよねこれは取引だってあなたが役に立つのなら見逃してあげるっていう
分かってる。だから面目ないって言ってるだろ。
Sojiro made a show of avoiding her eyes, like a pouting child. Orko was taken aback by his sulky display. Perhaps he was angry at himself rather than her. He was not mad because she would not let him go. He was mad that he had not done his part. Orko sighed for what seemed like the millionth time that day. She could not figure out what surprised her more, his unconditional kindness or a naive approval of it.
じゃあ覚悟はできてるの
そんなのはできないけど約束だからな。結局は何もしていないし。
It was certainly the case that he failed to do any of the things she had expected of him. But just then she glanced back at the collapsed house of mirrors. What had he done after failing so spectacularly? He had searched for the extinguisher so he could use it as a weapon, and waited patiently in the plaza as the maze collapsed all around him, because he thought it was wrong of him to leave alone. It was a foolish choice, and the exact opposite of a choice to run towards the exit without hesitation.
まそれでよしとするか
He was terrified, as even as she was shocked at how naive she was being. It was true that he saved her. She smiled inwardly, admiring, if only for a moment, the bravery he continued to show in the face of such extreme circumstances.
役割は果たさなかったけどアフターケアは合格だし約束は 守らなくちゃね。
With a nod, she pulled herself to her feet.
約束は、いつか守ってもらうとして。
The girl tried to keep a straight face as she offered her a hand to the boy, still lying on the ground.
結果はどうあれ手助けしてもらったし、特別サービスってことで今夜はもう手を出さないであげる。
She bashfully averted her gaze. Though her profile appeared different than it had in the past, it was clearly still the face of the vibrant girl he met the day he first arrived in town.
何？
As if she had felt his eyes on her, she shot him a rolling glare.
いや、突拍子もないけど、青崎は律儀だなって。
He took her outstretched hand, feeling his weight as she pulled him up. She could not help but think that he was about the last person she wanted to hear that from.
ところで、今夜はって言うけど、明日からは？
さあ、その時になったら考えるわ。
Wir wissen doch alle. Sie ist nicht die Person, die ihn umbringen würde. She shrugged her shoulders as if she was not sure herself. The response was so unlike her that it made Sushiro smile. It was in the solidarity of having escaped death together, or her fleeting camaraderie that made him so too so. It might have been for this night only, but the air between them was kinda gentle. A lot had transpired, but the winter nightmare had come to an end. The pair had overcome many trials and tribulations, and could now leave the mirror realm in their wake. But before that,
随分と身勝手ね。それはあなた一人で決めていいことだったかしら、青子。
it was the voice of a beautiful singing bird and a merciless machine, all rolled into one.
アリス。
Her voice quivered as he spoke the name. The lady in black made her presence known. The night was not yet over. Her name was Alice Kuanji. She was a witch whose name struck fear into the heart of Aoko, an avatar of the night who would allow no witnesses. Adventure at the House. Chapter 5, Part 1, Scenarios Read. Chapter 5, Night of the Witches 2. The melody stirred an emotion like nostalgia within them. Something once familiar, but now lost to his world. They believed beyond a shadow of a doubt that it would play for all eternity. From opening stanza to final coda. It was the mysterious siren song, merry yet longing, that heralded a return from dreams to reality. The night shook. A song was spun. Now the lost paradise was unearthed. Updawn dreams, forsaken idols. They all respond to the cry of the blue cat. The name of the bell was Diddly Diddly Banquet of the Night. All fables made possible, all marvels made real, by the magiskraft of Alice Kronji. More magical than magic itself.
随分と身勝手ね。それはあなた一人で決めていいことだったかしら、青子。
Alice sat perched atop the clock tower like a black bird of ill omen. She smoothed the ruffles of her skirt as she were preening.
アリス。
There was tension in Aoko's voice as she lifted her head. The calmest tones of a moment prior had long since been shooed away by Alice's gaze.
あの子確か
Tsuchiro searched his hazy memory. He could not clearly make out her face at this distance, but he was sure he had seen her around town a number of times. Where and when eluded him, however, as the tension in the air kept him from connecting all the dots.
驚いた。随分と仲間思いになったのね、アリス。今夜は私に任せるんじゃなかったっけ？
Aoko raised her guard and took half a step forward. Unconsciously, from an object standpoint, it almost looked as though she were protecting the figure beside her. Alice's silence grew ever heavier. Her eyes fixed on the ground below her were devoid of emotion. An indescribable sense of dread and pressure laid claim over the plaza.
かね
If he strained his ears, he could make out the faint ringing of a bell echoing in his distance. The rippling sound wave seemed unbelievably to be emanating from under the ground.
なあ青崎あの子
黙ってて。
So she stopped back, trying to stay out of the way. It was though he had been told to go to her for the crime of asking if the girl was Oko's friend.
そうね。仲間思いに当てはまるかは微妙だけど、別にあなたの仕事を疑ったわけじゃないわ。それはどうも。どうせならもう少し早くその良くない予感とやらに気づいてほしかったけど、でもま、ご覧の通り自己解決したわ。夜も遅いし、さっさと帰っていいわよアリス。私の仕事っぷりを疑うわけじゃないんでしょ。
Their eyes locked on one another. Alice's stare was uncomfortably cold. Oko was bold, daring Alice to air her complaints.
いえ、気が変わったわ。せっかくだし二人で帰りましょう。その方があなたらしいわ。帰りしな、人形の話でも聞かせてちょうだい。はっ、らしいって何よらしいって。いいから帰れ帰れ、ぐうたらアリス。部屋に閉じこもって役に立たないムクドリでも作ってろっての。
A disappointed sight escaped Alex's delicate lips. It seems the black-clad girl was more astonished than angry.
青子、口にしたくないけど、本気？
Quietly, Alice questioned her roommate of nearly 2 years.
呆れた。二人で秘密を守ると言ったのに、まだ半端にそっち側なの？それとも情でも移った？別に情っていうより私の気分。だいたい方針なんてその場その場で変わるもんでしょ。気分ならなおさらよ。そっちこそ一度した約束は絶対守るなんて時代遅れなんじゃない？
The proverbial knives were out now. No quarters was given, no quarters taken. Sadly, the partnership was one of convenience. It had not reached a level of mutual understanding. Their version of friendship was both delicate and unique, when a conflict of opinion across. Each would refuse to budge down until the other crumbled. Neither was concerned for the other's plight. And, at least for now, that was how they liked it.
そうね。今の暴言はあなたらしいとは思うけど。
Once again, she let out a sigh, even harder, larger than the one before.
言い争いは後にしましょう。そこの彼をいなかったことにするのは、
Finally, she struck straight to the point. As if making to move a chess piece, Alice lifted her slender finger. Even the simple action seemed mysterious to Soshiro, the same boy who had been hunted by his classmate Oko Osaki and bore witness to an automaton, Oko's violence and animated doll. Through perhaps far beyond the realm of logic, both these things were derived from reality. As surprised as he had been, there was no need to think of them as total mysteries. However, when the thing appeared out of thin air, from a seemingly unrelated gesture, he had no word for it besides mysterious. Ja, wenn eine Gabel einfach so aus der Luft erscheint und auf mich zurast. Soshiro stood motionless, captivated by the strange performer's magic trick, as the girl's single finger of magic turned into an attack directly at him. A blue light flew from its side to repel it, annihilation it without a trace.
やば。
August immediately regretted her reflex shot.
どういうこと？約束を曲げただけじゃなく、ルールまで破るつもり？
The already chilled midwinter air plunked below freezing. Ich krieg grad Gänsehaut. Alice looked calm and collected on the outside, but in reality she was sometimes even more hot-blooded than Naoko. Especially when it concerned her familiars. Accidentally destroying one often resulted in a week of silent treatment. But maliciously destroying one, Alice would reserve the right to retaliate without fair warning.
あっちゃー。いつかやるとは思ったけど、ついに激鱗に触れちゃったか。
Though Aoko was shocked at the depths of her own stupidity, she was in fact a little bit relieved. She did not intend to make any excuses, and she had no regrets. If she broke the rules, then so had Alice.
青子。なんていうか。
If anything, this took a load off her mind. After all, there was no going back. Aoko never intended to break her own rules. If there was anything for Aoko to regret, it was putting too little power into her shot.
私的に今夜こいつに死なれるのは困るのよ。なんで日を改めて殺しに来てくれないアリス。いいでしょ？たった1日ぐらい。
Taking on a pro bono case in defense of suspect S was the societally acceptable thing.
それは市場。悪い？一宿一般の恩義って割と大事にしてるの、私。私との協定より。ええ、時と場合によっては。
Soshio's human rights had not yet entered the argument. The girl was busy pouring on all each other flames. The girl clad in black was the first to move, or rather, to erupt.
よくわかったわ、青子。私は彼をここで殺す。あなたは彼をここだけ生かす。つまり、私と戦う。ということでいい？そんなのいいわけないじゃない。
Aoko bit back at the retort. She was very familiar with Alice's spacecraft, and she knew painfully well how many mysteries were hidden in Alex's tiny body. The odds of victory were essentially non-existent. And once the first shot had been fired, Alice Kunoji was without mercy, whether facing a roommate or a friend, a most beloved family member or a stranger. Once Alice began to fight as a witch, she became a heartless, unflappable monster. Oko advanced another half step forward, as if to encourage herself. It was too late to back down. Now, the situation was no longer a trivial quarrel over witnesses. The bedrock of their so-called friendship had nothing to do with their individual abilities, but everything to do with being equals in will. That is why, in order to stay true to herself, Oko had no room for compromise or deception.
もちろんあんたを殺すことになってもそこのバカは生かしきるわ。それに
Her mesh took a hold as they kicked into gear. Her body, which has most been dormant during the battle with the puppet, ignited, preparing to demonstrate its true worth.
それにどの道最後には殺し合う仲でしょ私たち。
Her courage overpowered any fear she had for her opponent. Turning her body, her magic circuits, to become like a barrel of gun, Oko fired a magic bullet. It was an exceedingly basic nature formula. There was no nature interface, no creating of wind, parting of water, or hasting of decay. It was simply the process of converting the imaginary action known as magical energy into something real before realizing it a seed. Releasing it as seed. Thus, Aoko's destructive power was equal to a supply of magical energy. The magic bullets she had used against Sojiro were among the most basic single action measures that did not require an incantation. At her present ability, a main mode of attack, her magic bullet could be fired at 3 levels of power. These were at the 2nd level. This required a double action measure, a casting throughout activation of a crest combined with a simplified incantation. Cool, dass man hier auch mal was über die Magie erfährt. However, without blinking, Alice dispersed the shot that Oko had mustered and all of her spirit to fire. Wenn Blicke töten könnten. Oko chattered in frustration. A swift sneak attack measure that used a simplified incantation would not be enough to break Alice's guard.
相変わらずお堅いこと。そのから一段と独りよがりになってるんじゃない？
Was ist complacent nochmal? Leo.org Complacent. Ah, selbstgefällig. Orc provoked Alice in order to disguise her own lack of composure. Somehow Alice seemed delighted by Orc's bravado.
売り言葉に買い言葉というやつね。こういう勢いだけのきっかけは初めてだけど驚いたわ。こんなくだらない理由でもその気になるものなのね、人間って。
Alice jiggled. Smiling with a heartfelt amazement, Alice gestured her left hand toward the earth. Unlimited kitchen works! Zap, 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 zap. Countess utensils shot out from underneath the cobblestone, paving the plaza. Das ist wirklich Unlimited Kitchen Works.
しずきくん、後ろに飛んで。
She grabbed his hand as she shouted sharply backward before he even had a chance to respond. As if the words of the hour, the Utrecht had suddenly appeared from the ground grave. Chase. As the bears grew around them, Aoko and Soshiro put some distance between themselves and the clock tower.
これで終わり？
Just under 30 feet stood between them and Alice. The lethal weapons that had crumbled the stone beneath them fell short of what Aoko had anticipated. They knew they now encircled the clock tower, making the scenes look like the burning of a witch at the stake. Eher wie die Witch of... Also ich fand es schon eher aus wie eine Hexe, die den Abwasch macht.
普通逆じゃない？ここは私たちを逃がさないよう槍で周りを囲むものでしょ。
Ist es zensiert? Gab's eine Zensur hier? Das muss ich nachgoogeln. Witch on the Holy Night. Zensur. Also ich finde jetzt nichts von wegen Zensur. Alice Kuanji. Ah, okay. Is ihre Mädchen. The Pathfinder was safe. If they wanted, they could try to make a break for the main gate and escape.
いいのアリス。悪いけど逃げられるなら逃げるわよ。私。
If she could just make it back to town, it would be Aoko's win. All she wanted to do was let Sushiro get away for the night, so if she could get him back to the city, it would be, for the most part, mission accomplished.
Huh?
Or so she had thought. Without even offering a glance at the tiles below, Alice carefully and lovingly pulled out the bottle from her pocket.
緑のフラスコ？あれって確か。やば！とにかくファイヤー！
Her shot was deflected with ease. Gone was Aoko's earlier bravado. It was only natural. Aoko had indeed grown as a mage. Over the last 2 years of study, her studies had progressed well, and she would be more or less gotten the grasp on the Ruben's tendencies and abilities. Das schaut dämonisch aus! This had made her considerate enough to believe that under the favorable circumstances she would be able to show Alice a thing or two in a fight. Alice uncloaked the magic bottle. A gentle breeze caressed her cheek. Diddly diddly fled as a new player stepped into the stage. But from where would it enter? The sound of footsteps of a nostalgic parade approached. Unfortunately, it was true. This was a miracle that Okosaki and a precious mage had never witnessed. The dead came to life. The inner maid awakened. The woods were enveloped by the mists. Fire-breathing lizards lurked in the swamps. Puppets made merry at the midnight. Alice Guangi's slender fingers had transfigured the entirety of the park, as if gently stroking the back of an elderly cat.
いいわ。ごっこ遊びをしましょう、青子。
Is this Nutznacker? For one night, the wasteland of Dasher's hopes and dreams was restored to its former glory. It was an immortal monster, ready to devour reality. A dark fairy tale that once unleashed would never let its prey escape.
逃げられるものなら逃げてみせて。どこまで行けるかわからないけど、この夜を越えることができたのなら。
Her declaration marked the start of a desperate battle. The witch in black laughed at her friend. Her musical mirth filled with affection, sadness, and innocent delight. Faded glory returned to Kid the Sea Land. The neon glow of innumerable lights illuminated the night. Speakers filled the air with the sound of vinyl music. Merry-go-rounds, small and large, whirled around and round. All in all, it made for a mind-bending spectacle. It was certainly possible to power the facilities by transmutating magical energy into electricity via alchemy. That said, simply supplying the power of electricity would not have been brought back to life. The witch was broken. The young woman did this not by mixing chemicals into a compound, but by melting down divine providence into a witch brew.
まずいわね。アリスのプロイは何個か見てきたけど、今回のは桁が違う。セット。
Connecting. Stiff to energy, Elko fired up the crest on her right arm. If magic circuits were mage engines, then the crest was software that assisted the magecraft. For the fledgling mage, Elko was the trump card. All she had to do was simply supply magical energy to a crest-based formula. It may not have been the strongest magecraft, but it was hers. Proof that she was a successor of the Osaki lineage.
講師2層、直流数も。
The pattern of a crest shifted to execute the formula, which then connected to her magic circuits. The process assembled the trains, changing rails, a puzzle involving dozens of circuits. She constructed it as swiftly as possible without sacrificing the quality of its construction. Instant magecraft without an incantation would not be enough to reach Alice Kunonji. Urkel gauged the strength of Alice's defense with her initial shots. She would dial up the power 5 times the next time, driving 20 tons of force into her target. Alice's protection of the thick hanging fog and the dense barrier around her. However, the attack would be more than enough to pierce through them both. If Oko struck home, at best it would have caved in Alice's chest and end the fight. At worst, it would have at least knocked Alice down from her position atop the clock tower.
そろそろいいかな。
Ja? Das ist klar, dass du eine Frage hast. As always, there was one guy who spoiled the deadly tension, pulling Oko out of a killer mode. So should have been looking back and forth between Oko and Alice in confusion.
それでどういう話になったんだ？
He said it like he might ask for directions to the train station. Now she would lash out screaming in response, but his entirely serious tone shocked her more than it angered her. Ah. Wie speichere ich nochmal? Ah, da. Weil ich glaube, ich höre es heute auf. Dann mal adios.